again, the charts kind of will speak to us, so to speak. We got to 430 when we finally were convinced we're going higher. We gapped higher. You may not be able to see it, but there's a gap up here, and it'll be on, if you get it in the email or you'll see it. We gapped higher, went up, went down here. This was the October report. And just kind of visualize, you had a pause here and you broke out, you went more higher. You had a pause here on the way to $10, oops, it dropped. And then you had a triangle in here, which is a pretty significant chart pattern. And we'll say why you draw all these little squares and these flags and all that. What it's saying is that the market went up, it went down, there were buyers under the market, and there were sellers above the market. You get out here into the apex of that point, and the trading range gets smaller and smaller. The guy that sold every rally has got a headache if the price goes up. The guy that bought every bottom, every dip, he's got a headache if the price goes down. And I'll write to clients and I'll say, you know, watch out, this market's going higher or lower. And they'll say, wow, I spent money for this. But it's true, whichever way it goes, you go with it. You go with the money. And you can't second guess it. And there's been cases where the market's broken out to the upside and then crashed. You got to be aware of that when that happens. But then we took off and went down here to $3. There's our $3.20 for March, or $3 in the front month. Rally back up again, down here, rally back up again. And here's where we were just before the crop report. It was my opinion that no matter what you tell me that crop report is, if you're the USDA and you tell me, we think you could lose 300 million bushels of all that 600 million in North Dakota, pheasants are going to eat it, and cows are going to eat it, or the bureau will get it, wouldn't make any difference. We would have gotten high enough into this economic condition that I thought, try and go to 425 or 450, and maybe you try to fill that gap because to see whether that was for real. But I was ready to sell a reversal. In other words, I'll write about it and on the radio, or in the radio commentary and top producer, I'll say it's not so much what the market does during the day, it's how it closes, how it reacts, and not so much what the market says. You don't want to own a bullish crop report and have the market close lower, because then that tells us why we were up here. We were anticipating something else. And boom, down 30 cents, and now we're congesting in here. And what that tells us, from another technical standpoint, and we get even more detail, is that when you break out of a congestion, let me go back. Here's another little triangle back here. Last June when we couldn't get the field, and we had a decision to make. We're not going to get in the field, we're going to go to $5 just because now we've got a curb demand because our crop is going to be 1 billion bushels less than we want, than we need. You know, ethanol guys, you're going to bleed. Cattle guys and hog guys, you're going to get further in debt. We've got to solve the problem because the function of the market is we will always have corn or beans or rice or wheat left over at some price. We ration demand doing that. And so lo and behold, the market felt we were going to get it, and we're going to get the crop we had. So what were we thinking about last June and September? We were thinking about record crops. Holy cow, this is going to get good technology. We might get 154 bushel yield. Performance at 168. And things, when they needed to be perfect, they were. And when we got down here, and I can remember arguing with the guys on the Board of Trade, and that's one of the advantages of being there, is that I ride up and down the elevator sometimes. And trust me, we know more about marketing, production, agriculture, and than they'll ever know. There's a few smart ones there, but if they're smart enough, they're out farming. So I'll go up there, and these guys will trade something that they're arbitraging. They'll say, well, premium content of beans and premium content of corn, kind of out of whack. I think I'll sell corn by beans. So you get this goofiness, I would call it, that I don't really pay much attention to, but it does provide liquidity. And I'll hear what these guys are saying. They're saying, boy, you know, the farmers, they complain about it every year. Look at the good and excellent ratings we got. Better than last year. And I deal with the guys that's on the floor that, or don't deal with them, I talk to him. He manages money for Deutsche Bank, so I kind of try to understand what money does. And I said, you understand that it's not all about looking good, it's what's inside that counts, you know? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, the crop is not maturing, and we got a problem coming. As you get a frost the first week of September, and you're going to lose a lot of corn. And I said, do you know what maturity is? And he said, no, should I? And I said, well, you will. And so in September 1st, we started to worry about that stuff. So how much are we going to lose? What's going to happen? You can kind of see when the weather reports say one thing, and all of a sudden in the middle of September, we didn't get a killing frost in September, but then here comes the maturity deal. And I remember talking to him on the chat, and suddenly he's writing that about the lack of maturity that I talked to him about back here. You're not going to get this from there. And I said, and I wrote an article for Top Producer, look it up, about where we should go in corn in September. And I said we should probably go to $3 and anything at 301.5 or something, I was going to buy back my short positions. You want to talk about being alone. When that market was here, they were talking 280, 260. My God, we could go back to 220 again. And I had no company, and including thinking about selling puts in order to pay for the insurance premium and the grip payments we had, just in case the sucker would go up. People thought I was nuts, so I abandoned it. I thought, well, you can't go with the masses. What we did here is rally back up and tested this level, and then finally exploded right back up to where we were a couple of years ago. That we discovered a value that says anything above that we might not be able to use, and we know as a market that we start getting above 425. We curved demand before. That's the level that we're going to curve demand. There's a lot you can do with $4 corn, and my basis was 60 cents, and that fell apart. We stayed here while we digested every report, every harvest report, and in November they asked the farmers, so what are you getting so far? And most of us we hadn't even started, and we're going to anticipate what kind of crop we're going to get, and we're going to be conservative about it. In the previous 7 or 8 or 10 years, I was almost done by November. And certainly guys south of me were done on November 1st. Suddenly we're starting on November 10th, I got the full crop left yet, and still got some in the field. So we probably, as farmers, told the government a little conservative number. And we come back in December and say, so, in the last 30 days, how'd you do? Well, I got 90% of my crop done, so how was it? Well, the drying bill is $120 an acre, but, it's pretty good. I'm surprised. We raised our yield up, and then they said, all right, you got 10% or 5% left. What do you think is going to happen there? And we give that some number. Well, I did 180 bushels on the rest, so I'm thinking, the yearly, this I think 160 bushels, or maybe I might lose a third of it, this year. So we may be underplaying that number that's going to then be released later on. And a lot of analysts are saying, March 10th, they're going to talk about it again, that this number's got to come down because the corn isn't there. Don't be surprised that we get a bigger increase in corn again. So what happened? We dropped and we gapped lower. And that's around 392. And so we're kind of looking for, what went on here. We went down here to $3, thinking we had a big crop. We rallied up, realizing there's no way in the world we're going to get a record crop anymore. We just didn't know how much less than a record was going to be. Found out we not only got more of a record, but we got more of a record, we thought. Pricing down. What's it to make us believe that the price discovery system discovered $3 and $3.15, that it won't try to do that again? So you look at how the market gapped, and you use the technical analysis of it. You say, all right, 426 minus 392 equals 34 cents. 392 minus 34 is 358. So if that's halfway down, this should be it. And I look at it and say, you spent a lot of time here wondering whether you need to go any higher because probably that crop is really there. No, it's not. Now we find out, yes, it is. If we're going to have any kind of support at all, it better come in here. And my thought today was if we close lower again today by 2 or 3 cents. Something happens over the weekend, you gap lower again. If that's the case, then 426 minus the 358, which we're at right here, and we gap lower, now you got a breakaway gap and you got a majoring gap. That says you're halfway there. That's 68 cents, 358 from 68 is 290. The Lynn Group, and I deal with Cordy Lynn every day, we got together one day and he said, I think, and I thought the same thing, given the kind of crop we're going to have, we'll see $3 and $2.90 corn by the time December goes off the board sometime, barring a weather market. Now, you can always say, yeah, but Jerry, it'll get hot this summer. It could be. But I don't want, and that's what I thought last year, I remember preaching, you can't have a hiccup. You can't have 158 bushel yield this year. Well, we got 164. And so I think, just watch it. My opinion here is that you saw any 10 or 12 cent rally off those lows, and you might get back to this level. You can say, or I can say, I don't know where it's going to go, but I know where it's not going to go. Given the information we had, we shouldn't see anything over 426 again in this calendar year in the lead contract. And so what we did to catch up, we were 60% sold, and we bought sold calls. We got 27 cents for July calls and 420 calls for someone to own my corn again if it goes back up. I know more now than I knew before. I think it's not going to happen. The guy that bought my call says, I don't know, who knows what they'll do. They'll probably, something will come in, China will come in and buy 500 million bushels, and then here we go. He's willing to pay